Welcome to Womb Whispers, menstrual wisdom for everyday life. This is the podcast to follow if you want to radically trust your own body's cyclical wisdom, release trauma and internalized shame, and erode patriarchy from the inside out. I'm Lisa, and I'm on a mission to help you feel safe, happy, healthy, and holy in your body, and remember and reclaim the power and wisdom already stored in your bones. Hi and welcome. Or maybe I should say welcome back if you've already listened to the first episode of this 4-part mini-series on the 4 phases of the cycle, the menstrual or moon cycle, and how your cycle really works you on all levels throughout the month. Last time, in the last episode, I explained about the season of inner winter a little more in depth. Inner winter is menstruation if you have a menstrual cycle, or dark moon if you cycle with the moon. So maybe you want to go and check that out before diving into today's topic, because this is all about inner spring. But really in a cycle you will come to inner winter eventually, and you can also listen at any other point. Because really this whole series is created to help you become more aware of the processes that are going on in your body on a body, heart, psyche, and soul level every month, no matter whether you have a menstrual cycle or you cycle with the moon, if you're post-menopause or you don't have organs present, because we're all cyclical beings and your cycle works you on all these levels every month. And yes, in post-menopause, or if you don't have a uterus and or ovaries, the physical influences are of course less pronounced. But I believe that they are still there, especially if you start attuning to these subtle differences and energetic shifts throughout the month. And when you know how to journey this monthly death and rebirth process, which is what it is, and you do that with more consciousness and awareness of your personal flavors and cyclical experience, then I believe that you will be better prepared to navigate also challenging transition phases in life with more ease and confidence, because you've already practiced doing that on a monthly basis. And then when it comes to these bigger shifts and transitions, it will be much easier to navigate, for example, the transition into mother or parenthood, or the perimenopausal journey, or really any other crisis or dark night of the soul you might encounter. And you will hopefully also feel more grounded and relaxed when you know how to journey this process every month, because you understand how everything in life works in a cyclical rhythm. And at first that might seem incontrollable and undependable, but actually, it's very dependable, just in a different rhythm than our brains are used to, because over the course of a month, you will see a certain pattern. It needs this longer span to look at to find out that there is indeed some stability and dependability there. And because I'm talking about these 4 phases and the second phase, the inner spring, today, really any cycle that you can think of has these 4 phases with very similar characteristics, whether that's the menstrual cycle or the moon cycle or the yearly cycle or the day cycle or the pregnancy cycle, but also the lifespan cycle or the planetary cycles, which are even bigger, and even project cycles at work. They all show these 4 phases. And I'll explain how today, the phase of inner spring works you on the physical, the emotional, the mental, psychological, and the spiritual level, as well as a practice that you can do to connect into the energetic quality that inner spring brings, the unique medicine that it brings. Because in total, a cycle is regenerative when you allow each phase to be present and to have its place, and to cherish each phase for the unique gifts and powers it brings. So spring, inner spring, if you have a menstrual cycle, it's the follicular phase. That means the phase where the follicle with the egg is ripening in the ovary. And if you do not have a menstrual cycle because you're post-menopause, you don't have organs present, you are breastfeeding, you are pregnant, in that case, it's the waxing moon phase. And just to make that clear again, these phases don't have to align, meaning when your follicular phase doesn't have to be in the waxing moon phase. It's when you have a menstrual cycle, then your inner spring is the follicular phase, and when you don't menstruate, or like your post-menopause, etc., then your inner spring is the waxing moon phase. And it's comparable to the life phase of the maiden or the young one. So a very childlike, with childlike wonder, that kind of experience, looking at the world with fresh eyes. And that's why the theme or themes of this phase are rebirth and renewal. And on a physical level, it's very palpable because the energy is rising. It's returning again after menstruation or dark moon, where we tend to be more inward and needing rest. But now the energy is slowly rising again. It's similar to what happens in outer spring, like the sap is rising. You become more energetic, less sluggish, less tired, more upbeat even. And if you have a menstrual cycle, then your estrogen levels rise. And estrogen is called the caring hormone. It may make us a little bit compliant and wanting to please others. And sometimes in this phase, we may have a little bit of trouble in terms of we feel overwhelmed. We might not want to get out of the cave of winter so early. I mean, after winter, when we've been so aligned with who we are, our truth on this deep level, all our facets, we suddenly come out of that cave and we find that not all of what we bring to the table are quote unquote socially acceptable, and because we care and because we value a sense of belonging over authenticity, then we may try to hide part of ourselves, and this can create an inner disconnect, a dissonance, and overwhelm on a subconscious level. And that's why some people have a hard time in inner spring and might not feel this energetic upbeat, but rather this overwhelm. And as a side note, in post-menopause, you have a different estrogen at play, and that does not have as much of the, and you have a lower level of estrogen, and so this caring and people-pleasing isn't so pronounced anymore. And I believe that's part of the reason why with old age, when you come to post-menopause, you care less about what other people think about you. You give less of a fuck, so to speak. And I know that some people say, oh yeah, that comes with age. And while that may be true, here I think we've got also a connection that it's hormonally supported, that we don't care as much anymore. And again, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, this nuance might be less pronounced. But still, just see what happens in your inner spring in the waxing moon phase and how your energy shifts on a physical level. Then on an emotional level, we can experience different things, basically on a spectrum. It can feel very sensitive and tender, especially if you've had a childhood that was rough, or what I just shared about you caring about what other people think and therefore hiding parts of yourself. And so you can feel easily overwhelmed and anxious. Your inner child might need tending. And it's really important to ask yourself, what do you need to do to feel safe? Like, do you maybe need a warm blanket and work from the couch? Do you need to cancel an appointment? How can you take care of yourself and your inner child so that you feel safe in your body and your life? On the other hand, inner spring is also an invitation to be playful, innocent, like a child, as I shared in the beginning, looking at the world through a child's eye, with childlike wonder, with curiosity, exploring the world, excited for the future. That can also be a characteristic of spring. And your experience can be anywhere on the spectrum between these two opposites. And it can also, of course, change over the different days of the inner spring phase. On a mental and psychological level, this can be a really creative and fruitful time with lots of inspiration and ideas, your imagination running wild, and you are maybe even riding the waves of inspiration. For some, it may be hard to ride this wave. Maybe you feel confused or overwhelmed with the intensity and onslaught of ideas, what to do with all of that. And for example, I know that I do become very anxious in this time, and I know that I need to write all of these ideas that I get down and then tell myself that I don't have to take action on all of them, especially not yet. If I get the inner nudge to do something right away, yeah, okay, fine, I can go with it. But there is so much coming, and it's okay to take action on them later. And then it's important to ask, what are your intentions for this new cycle? What kind of seeds do you want to plant? What do you want to plan? It's not an action-oriented phase yet, but visioning, dreaming into what you would like to have happen for this new phase. And then on a spiritual level, it's really this visioning, allowing a vision to form for your life, maybe for your business, for the world, for your community. Your intention can be a bigger intention or bigger vision, or it can be a small portion of it that's doable over the next few weeks. And then nurturing it, being mindful of what's needed moment by moment to tend to this vision, and create it step by step. And a question that you can use to ponder or journal on in this phase is, what is my soul yearning for? What is calling me? It's basically tapping into your passion, your desire, and just allowing yourself for maybe 5 minutes free flow, what's coming up, what your soul is yearning for. And as a practice in this phase, it's all about initiating, which doesn't mean getting into the nitty-gritty details and action just yet. It's more like planting little seeds and in general, taking care of your energy. Be mindful of the energy you have to spend in this phase, because when you think of trees, and I read that in a book, it's like there are some trees that start shooting out right away into the highest heights, but because they haven't built the supporting roots, they don't last long. So be mindful of not overexerting yourself and spending all the energy you have right now because you're so full of excitement, but rather cherishing the moment, fun and excitement, and also paying attention to how far your energy lasts, and then taking a break, pausing, so you do not spread all the energy right in this phase. Yeah, and this is how your cycle works you on all 4 levels in your inner spring. And this is, of course, just a basic overview, and it's just an archetype. I've showed you that there is always a spectrum of experiences, and your experience is unique to you, and it can be totally different to what I've shared here. And also it can be different in different cycles. So your inner spring will not always look exactly the same every cycle, but there are usually similarities. And this today was just meant as a starting point for you to start exploring what's it like for you. And if you want to start finding that out, I invite you into the practice of cycle charting, for example, with my free cycle charting course. I will link to that below. There I have another explanation of the 4 phases, but also how you can, in a very, very simple approach, start charting, why it's all the benefits of charting, and how you can use that to connect and communicate with your cycle, so your cycle can really become this ally and friend for life. If you prefer to go deeper, I offer Sacred Cycle Deep Dive sessions, which are basically a heart-to-heart with your cycle that is facilitated by me, because as much as I can teach you and love to teach, I cannot teach you about your personal cyclical experience. So I will ask you very specific questions, you and your cycle, so that you can get to communicate with each other and start building this relationship, because your cycle has messages for you, whether you experience challenges or not. Your cycle has messages for you, and through this session you will learn how to understand and how to communicate with your cycle, and then you will receive a practice with which you can continue strengthening and deepening this relationship. But whether you want to start charting your cycle with my course, or if you want to go deeper or nothing at all, in any case, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform and subscribe to Moonday Musings, which is my personal weekly e-letter on moon days. Mondays are connected to the moon, and I write them for you to have a more easeful start into the week, one that is where you establish this connection to yourself right from the get-go and go into the week with much more ease and confidence. And of course, be sure to check out the other 3 episodes in this series, and I will link to everything below. For now, I wish you a beautiful day and send you much love. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Now, before you go, if you enjoyed this episode, please share the love by leaving a raving review and forwarding the episode to a friend who really needs to hear this today. You can learn more about me and my work over on my website or in my weekly e-letters, Moonday Musings, that I send each Moonday, Monday morning, to start off the week more connected to yourself and fully present in your glorious body. And if there's a question or topic you want me to explore further, send me a mail and let me know. Now, have a lovely weekend and speak soon.